tea becomes the symbol of oppression, right? Don't drink British tax tea. There's a huge Dutch tea smuggling operation. Drink Dutch tea to show the British you're not going to drink British tax tea. And so, as much as they can, they're trying to maintain a boycott of the tea, but it's hard because the way the merchants work is that they didn't have a special. So a merchant will deal in all kinds of things. So if a ship comes in and it's got lots of barrels and lots of casks, some of it may be tea, but other may be goods that are perfectly fine. It's hard to know what is tea. Townsend Acts tea, what ships have it. It's not really working. Tea is seen as a badge and
As a sign of ultimate oppression.
then all the way across the world, a huge company called the East India Company, which is a major corporation. Think like as big today as like Google, right? It's a huge corporation and invests in government funds. It runs into trouble immediately. And in a sense, I'm sure people know this, it's kind of a bailout. They want to save the East India Company. At the same time, they also want to sort of beef up the fact that they do have the right to tax and can tax too. And the result of this is a final amendment to that last Townsend Act on tea in 1773 called the Tea Act of 1773. The interesting about the Tea Act is that it actually lowers the price of tea in colonial rule. Because what the Tea Act says is it's going to give this British East India Tea Company the exclusive right to market tea in colonial America. And for the right of that privilege, the East India Company will have to pay a tax on the tea. But they say, given that you're going to have a huge monopoly on selling tea in colonial America and a huge volume of tea consumption in colonial America, even though you're going to have to pay a tax on the tea, we're going to require you to undercut previous tea prices, charge lower prices on the tea. And you'll still make a profit because the amount of tea you'll be selling in colonial America is so large. So this is about as cleverly conceived a tax as you can get. What the British Parliament is saying is no colonial American can really be angry about drinking cheaper tea. Yeah, it's taxed, but it's going to be actually a tax on this company thousands of miles away. When they sell it to colonial Americans, it'll even be cheaper than it was before. Surely they can literally swallow that, right? They can't, right? Because again, it's about a constitutional concern. What they're saying is if you can bring a taxed commodity into colonial America and sell it, that we didn't assess ourselves, that's you saying you can assess taxes in colonial America. And then once you have the power to tax, you could then use it to do things that would violate our limits. They would taxes at
Higher levels.
that would tax away our economy. We can even a tax that we can afford, even a tax that lowers prices cannot be assessed by a body we don't have authority. We don't send representatives to, that we don't choose, and it doesn't pay the taxes. But what's interesting is that the tea is cheaper and people like tea. And so in a lot of places, the tea comes in. And some of it's met by delegations of Europe saying, no, don't ship it, don't bring it in. The one thing this does is it actually makes it easier to spot the tea because the British East India Company tends to deal exclusively in tea. You know what British East India ships are. You don't have to worry about all the other ships in the harbor. There's only one company and it's only bringing tea, so you know who it is. But what the organizers resisting this tea are worried about is will colonial Americans buy it if they get access to it? So what they're trying to do is prevent it from being landed at all. You see, because they're not confident their own people won't say, hey, cheaper tea, I'll drink that. How bad can that be? And maybe go to decide maybe parliamentary taxation isn't such a threat. What's so bad about it? So where this comes to a head is in Boston, where the governor of the colony, named Thomas Hutchinson, who incidentally, his family goes back to the 1630s in America. He's a colonial American as much as John Adams. He's actually been there longer. But he's just like, look, law has to be respected. Right? I can't have taking this in own hands and not allowing lawful cargo to be local. So what he does is when the ships come into the Boston harbor in December of 1773, he refuses to let his harbor minister give them papers that allow them to leave the harbor. You have to have permission to come in, you have to have permission to leave. Once cargo has come into a harbor and the ship can't leave, it then is required by British law to be landed within 15 days or be confiscated and sold at auction. So what he's saying is, I've started the process that is guaranteed that tea has to come onto the north. And I'm betting, no matter what John and Sam Adams say, the good people of Boston will buy cheaper tea. And when they buy cheaper tea, that will expose the Sons of Liberty. We don't have the support of the community. Tax tea will work, and we can get beyond this and expose the Sons of Liberty as not representative of the people. What's interesting is, I think Sam Adams worries about it too. I don't want that tea, since
We got to destroy it before it lands, and that's the Boston Tea Party.
let's throw that tea overboard so that we don't even have to worry about the possibility that we'll get exposed as maybe not having as much community support as we insist we do. And so they famously threw 342 chests of tea over the side, which today had a value of about $15 million. So this is a lot of tea.
They destroyed.